Jessica Frost-Ballas here, and today I'm introducing the newest series for Simon Says Stamp, Interactive Cards by Jess. Hands down, interactive cards are some of my favorite to create, and every month I'm going to share a project focusing on different ways to make your cards interactive. Today I'll be using several Lawn Fawn products to create a pop-up box card, but to make it a little more interesting, I'm going to add a shaker panel and use mirror stamping to make the box fully viewable from both sides. So let's get started. First, I stamp the images I plan on using with Versamark and heat emboss them with black embossing powder. I'm using images from Lawn Fawn's Rub-a-Dub-Dub set. I repeat the process to get a second set of the symmetrical stamps, like the bathtub and sailboat. Next, I use mirror stamping to get reverse images of my ducks and the shower head. You can use any solid stamp or even a specific mirror image stamp designed for this technique. I am using the back of a large background stamp from Blot stamps. I pick it up with my MISTI lid with the back of the stamp facing up and give it a wipe down to make sure it's nice and clean. Then I remove the foam mat since it won't be necessary with this step. I've arranged the stamps I need on a plastic MISTI grid, and I ink the stamps with a layer of Versamark before placing them inside the MISTI. Then I close the lid of my MISTI and stamp the images onto the back of the large background stamp. I open the lid, carefully remove the grid sheet, and ink the stamps again, first with a layer of Versamark and then with a layer of VersaFine. I place the grid sheet back inside my MISTI and close the lid once more and stamp the images onto the back of the background stamp. This ensures a good transfer of ink to the background stamp. Then I open the lid, carefully remove the stamps, place the foam mat back inside my MISTI and add a panel of white cardstock. I close the lid and firmly press down to transfer the images from the back of the background stamp to my cardstock. I lift the lid and then emboss the images with black embossing powder. Using the VersaFine combined with the black embossing powder and the layer of Versamark just helps ensure that I get a nice crisp embossed image. And voila! I have mirror images of all of my stamps. Now it's time to color. I use shades of toner gray in T7, 5, 3, 1, and 0 for my bathtub and shower head. I start with the darkest shades and blend the lighter. I work on both images at the same time so I can try to make sure they look similar. My ducks use YR12, YR14, and Y38, 35, and 32, and the mother duck has a little shading with the toner grays. I use BG13 and BG11 for the boat, and BV01, 02, 04, and 08 for the bottle. Once I finish coloring, I cut out all the images with my coordinating dies. For the mirror images, I die cut them from the back of the cardstock. Unfortunately, it wasn't possible to show this on camera, but when I need to basically see through the cardstock, I'll open my iPad or computer screen to a blank white screen and then hold the cardstock against the screen. You'll be able to see your stamped image through the cardstock and can then line up and use washi tape to tape the die to the back of the cardstock before running it through your die cutting machine. You can also hold it up to a lamp, but I find it's easiest to do over a flat surface like a computer screen. Once all my colored images were die cut, I stamped the bubbles onto a piece of vellum and heat embossed them with silver embossing powder before die cutting them with a coordinating die. Next, it's time to die cut my pop-up box. I used Simon Says stamped sea glass cardstock for the box, and I die cut the scallop box 3 times so that I could cut out the widest flap from one piece to use for my shaker panel. I die cut the inside of the shaker panel using a scalloped rectangle die from My Favorite Things. I used daffodil plaid pattern paper from Lawn Fawn's Perfectly Plaid Spring Petite Pack for the stitched panels on the box flaps, and I die cut the inside strips that will hold up my images with white cardstock. I stamp my sentiment on the inside of my shaker panel with VersaFine and heat emboss it with clear embossing powder. At this point, all of the stamping is complete and it's time to assemble my card. First, I score all of the fold lines of my box card and use a bone folder to make sure the creases are nice and sharp. I add a piece of acetate to the back of my shaker frame and then apply a single layer of foam mounting tape around my sentiment. I fill the shaker with clear confetti that looks like bubbles and add a spoonful of chunky glitter before sealing the shaker. I also adhere the plaid panels to the other 3 flaps of the box. Next, I add adhesive to the tabs of the box, align them carefully, and press firmly to adhere them together. I add my bathtub, shower head, and bubbles to the first white strip and carefully adhere the tabs of the strip to the inside of the box card. I adhere both the images to both sides of the strip so that they line up against each other and can be viewed equally from the front or back. I also pop a duckling into the tub. Then I add the front strip and add one more duckling and the sailboat to that strip. Finally, on the back strip, I add another duckling and the mother duck. The card still folds relatively flat since I only used a single layer of foam mounting tape, and I love that you can see the design from both sides of the box. And the little bubbles in the shaker are just a fun twist. You could actually add shaker panels to any of the flaps following the same technique, and the weight of the shaker actually helps the box card stay open. As you can see in the finished design, I added plaid panels to the outside of the box as well and decorated them with the leftover images I had stamped. And that's it. I hope this inspires you to give interactive cards a try. Thanks for joining me today, and I look forward to continue sharing interactive cards with you every month. Have a fabulous day, and until next time, happy crafting!